A scattered world waited for order. Tribes wandered, kingdoms rose then disappeared. Old powers fought for fragile survival. Amid chaos, destiny quietly prepared ground. Small huts clustered near flowing water. Families farmed land carved from wilderness. The Tiber carried life and opportunity. Here, a humble beginning shaped history. Two brothers stood between fate's path. Legends said gods guarded their future. A single choice birthed a rising city. Myth and blood forged Rome's earliest heartbeat. 7 hills offered protection and vision. The river opened doors to distant worlds. Fertile soil fed growing Roman ambition. Land itself whispered promises of greatness. Rome began small but dreamed endlessly. Its story stretches across millennia's horizon. Empires rise then fade. Yet Rome remains. Tonight, we follow its eternal journey. The early city breathed beneath foreign shadows. Etruscan rulers shaped Rome's earliest heartbeat. They brought discipline to rising settlements. Order replaced chaos across growing land. Streets formed where confusion once wandered freely. Stone replaced mud under guiding authority. Kings introduced customs older than Rome. Ceremonies echoed distant northern kingdoms. Urban planning reshaped Rome's identity slowly. Engineers carved pathways through walled terrain. Bridges united clans once divided deeply. Drainage transformed swamps into fertile ground. A village evolved into a structured capital. Citizens witnessed order guiding daily life. Markets grew under regulated royal oversight. Festivals blended Latin and Etruscan traditions. Beneath the palace, councils quietly gathered. Elders advised kings on civic direction. Debates shaped Rome's administrative foundations. Each decision strengthened political stability further. Influence extended beyond culture and architecture. Clothing reflected refined Etruscan tastes. Symbols of authority mirrored foreign grandeur. Military formations displayed disciplined precision. Rome absorbed knowledge like thirsty soil. Foreign rule transformed customs and thinking. Daily routines developed new organized rhythm. Culture became a shared woven tapestry. Yet pride stirred among old Roman families. Some feared identity, losing ancient purity. Foreign control felt increasingly uncomfortable. Whispers of resentment spread through gatherings. Still, progress continued shaping Rome forward. Borders expanded through steady strategic planning. Neighboring tribes respected Rome's discipline. The city gained strength with every reform. Kings believed power flowed from sacred ritual. People believed power should reflect voices. This silent tension grew with each season. Destiny waited beyond foreign royal crowns. The rule of kings laid Rome's foundation. Their influence shaped culture, politics, identity. Every stone carried Etruscan fingerprints. Every ceremony echoed ancient northern roots. Rome would one day outgrow this influence, but it could never erase their legacy. Their rule prepared Rome for transformation. A new chapter waited beyond their fall. Elders gathered beneath Rome's rising authority. Wisdom shaped decisions guiding early society. Their council formed Rome's political heartbeat. Respect surrounded every spoken advisory word. The Senate began as royal counselors. Kings relied on their seasoned judgment. Slowly their influence grew beyond expectation. Power shifted silently toward collective voices. Assemblies formed to echo public will. Citizens gathered under structured civic order. Participation strengthened Rome's communal identity. Voices shaped laws guiding daily life. Debates became Rome's emerging political culture. Arguments refined policies through balanced dialogue. Ideas clashed yet created stronger foundations. Unity rose through shared civic responsibility. Senators represented lineage, experience, tradition. They protected customs inherited through generations. Decisions reflected loyalty to Roman values. Every ruling shaped the city's long future. Assemblies balanced Senate's growing authority. Ordinary citizens gained influence through votes. Political participation grew with steady confidence. Rome learned power through shared civic duty. Laws developed through structured public discussion. Justice evolved from early debated principles. Order strengthened with every balanced decision. Government matured through thoughtful collective reasoning. This system prepared Rome for expansion. Institutions built discipline into public life. Leadership grew stronger through shared responsibility. A republic spirit emerged from these practices. The Senate became Rome's enduring backbone. Its voice guided wars, treaties, reforms. Authority deepened with every passing generation. Legacy shaped future empires across centuries. Assemblies taught Rome the value of consensus. People learned rights through active participation. Civic identity matured with every gathering. Democracy's seed quietly formed its structure. These institutions transformed Rome's early governance. Kings ruled, but councils shaped destiny. Public voices influenced long-term political direction. Rome advanced through shared civic intelligence. Foundations laid here guided centuries ahead. Republican ideals began taking early shape. Citizens embraced their growing political roles. A new era prepared to rise. Religion shaped every moment of early Rome. Sacred rituals guided rulers and citizens. Faith connected people with unseen forces. Destiny felt written through divine signs. Augurs read omens carved in nature. Bird flights revealed hidden heavenly messages. Each movement carried spiritual political meaning. Kings waited for signs before acting. Ceremonies surrounded every major decision. Sacred chants filled Rome's early temples. Priests guarded traditions older than memory. People respected their unwavering spiritual authority. Temples rose across Rome's growing landscape. Stone altars welcomed offerings and prayers. Communities gathered seeking divine protection. Faith strengthened unity during uncertain times. Augurs interpreted thunder, storms, celestial patterns. Their readings shaped law, war, diplomacy. Leaders trusted guidance from sacred observations. Religious insight influenced political direction. Daily life blended custom with devotion. Families honored household gods with rituals. Festivals celebrated nature, harvests, ancestors. Spiritual practice shaped Roman cultural identity. Oaths were sworn under divine witness. Breaking them risked both law and punishment. Religion enforced discipline through moral expectation. People feared displeasing the watchful gods. Public ceremonies reinforced shared civic duty. Processions carried symbols of ancient power. Citizens participated with reverence and pride. Tradition held the community tightly together. Every omen strengthened spiritual understanding. Every ritual deepened Rome's collective memory. Faith became foundation for moral structure. Belief shaped behavior across all classes. Here, spirituality united people and leaders. Religion guided choices both small and monumental. Augurs stood between humans and destiny. Their voices shaped the kingdom's future. Sacred tradition became Rome's enduring pillar. It lasted through kingdoms, republics, empires. Belief outlived countless wars and upheavals. Faith remained Rome's most unbroken legacy. Rome's society divided between privilege and labor. Patricians held power through ancient lineage. Plebeians toiled on land and markets. Two classes shaped early societal tension. Laws emerged to regulate fragile harmony. Customs slowly transformed into written codes. Justice guided interactions between citizens. Order relied on balanced societal rules. Patricians influenced politics and civic decisions. Plebeians struggled to gain legal recognition. Conflict simmered, yet preserved communal structure. Negotiation became Rome's first social solution. Rights developed alongside civic responsibilities. Early laws reflected both fairness and power. Society evolved through slow, careful compromise. Balance between classes strengthened city stability. Customs defined conduct in daily life. Festivals, marriages, and property followed rules. Tradition enforced behavior across social lines. Community identity formed through shared practices. Social hierarchy shaped early Roman politics. Patricians guided, plebeians slowly gained voice. Tensions taught lessons about compromise and law. Foundations prepared Rome for a future reform. Conflict between classes sparked new discussions. Plebeians demanded fairness and legal protection. Senate learned to respect broader societal needs. Early struggles shaped civic culture deeply. These foundations enabled Rome's long-term expansion. Strong social structure underpinned military campaigns. Unity depended on understanding class dynamics. Civil harmony became essential for survival. Rome's laws became blueprint for future generations. Every codified rule reflected societal compromise. Justice, rights, and duties shaped early life. Social foundations prepared republic for growth. Balance of power maintained fragile order. Patricians led, plebeians contributed steadily. Through law, tradition, and civic debate, Rome found stability amid rising ambition. Tarquin ruled with arrogance and harsh authority. Fear spread through streets and households alike. Citizens whispered grievances in shadowed corners. Tension simmered beneath royal golden halls. His tyranny crushed trust with Roman families. Decisions favored power over common welfare. Rebellion grew quietly, fueled by injustice. People longed for freedom from oppression. A single spark ignited long-suppressed fury. Romans rose, united against their king. Swords clashed, voices shouted justice and vengeance. Monarchy trembled under the weight of revolt. Tarquin fled, leaving throne and palace empty. The city celebrated courage and reclaimed liberty. A new era dawned over ancient Rome. Monarchy ended, replaced by collective governance. This revolt marked a historic transformation. Citizens embraced a republic born from struggle. Kings would never rule over Rome again. People held power as their sacred right. The story echoed through generations of Romans. Lessons of tyranny, courage, and unity endured. History remembered Tarquin as a warning. Freedom arose where oppression once reigned supreme. Rome's first republic emerged from chaos. Institutions reflected lessons learned through revolt. Senate, assemblies, and laws grew stronger. Citizen voices shaped destiny over kings. The fall of Tarquin changed the world. It marked Rome's journey toward democracy. Every citizen gained stake in governance. Power shifted from throne to the people. From tyranny rose Rome's enduring legacy. Revolt became symbol of courage and justice. A kingdom fell, a republic was born. History remembered that fateful turning point. Kings had fallen. Rome sought new order. Power shifted from throne to citizen hands. Consuls emerged as elected city leaders. Men shared authority to prevent tyranny. Checks on power ensured no ruler prevailed. Every decision required careful public scrutiny. Institutions balanced authority between rulers and citizens. Rome learned the art of shared responsibility. The Senate guided Rome with ancient wisdom. Elders debated, advised, and shaped policy. Traditions intertwined with civic duty and law. Council decisions influenced war, diplomacy, governance. Assemblies allowed citizens structured civic participation. Voting shaped leadership and significant decisions. Public opinion influenced Rome's future direction. Every law reflected collective citizen input. Power remained restrained, though ambition simmered quietly. Citizens felt the weight of collective choice. Republican principles grew slowly, securing stability. Governance became a blend of law, negotiation. Checks prevented tyranny from returning to Rome. Institutions matured, preparing city for growth. Shared responsibility strengthened the republic's foundation. Rome embarked on a new era of liberty. Every citizen gained stake in governance. Decisions reflected balance between ruler and people. Freedom and order coexisted through structured law. The Republic became Rome's defining political system. Tradition guided decisions, tempered with deliberation. Senate and consuls ensured no single power. Early governance taught lessons of shared authority. Rome learned patience, compromise, and civic responsibility. Plebeians demanded recognition within Rome's system. They refused work without fair representation. Tensions simmered between elite patricians and laborers. Conflict shaped early Rome's social and civic culture. Patricians resisted, clinging to ancient privilege. Plebeians pressed for access to offices and law. Negotiation became necessary for survival and reform. Strikes and assemblies slowly forced meaningful change. Tribunes emerged to defend common citizens. Veto power blocked harmful patrician decrees. Rights codified through persistent, determined struggle. Rome learned compromise as path to stability. Assemblies strengthened civic participation and fairness. Class tensions reshaped early legislation and governance. Plebeians gained influence over political decision-making. Conflict became engine of reform and progress. Social balance slowly evolved through persistent effort. The Republic adapted to meet citizens' demands. Rights and protections solidified civic trust. Every victory in law set future precedent. The struggle united citizens across social lines. Rome's government learned to accommodate diverse voices. Plebeians and patricians negotiated for shared authority. Social evolution became cornerstone of republican stability. Laws gradually reflected equality between citizens. Struggle created mechanisms to prevent abuse. Power became accountable to both elites and commoners. The Republic strengthened through active citizen participation. Rome relied on citizens to defend its borders. Farmers and workers became soldiers for the city. Duty intertwined with honor, family, and state. Every soldier carried both shield and obligation. Early campaigns brought control over surrounding territories. Alliances were forged through loyalty and treaties. Discipline and strategy shaped military success. Victory brought both land and political leverage. Citizen soldiers returned home, remained vigilant. Their duty never ended, defining Roman identity. Legions became backbone of Rome's growing power. Military prowess strengthened both city and civic pride. Expansion introduced new cultures and governance challenges. Rome balanced conquest with careful assimilation. Early lessons prepared city for greater power. Italy became stage for Roman ambition's rise. Army and civic institutions worked in tandem. Every victory reinforced discipline and societal order. Rome's strength relied on unity of soldier and citizen. Republics rise inseparable from disciplined military force. Conquest demanded political as well as military skill. Strategy guided expansion and integration of territories. Citizen soldiers embodied loyalty, duty, and resilience. Rome's republic grew stronger with each campaign. Early expansion set pattern for a future dominance. Alliances, warfare, and citizenship created lasting bonds. Military success reinforced Rome's political authority. Italy slowly came under Rome's growing influence. Rome codified customs into written, public law. The 12 tables were displayed for all. Justice became transparent, fair, and accountable. Every citizen understood their rights and duties. Tables governed crime, property, family, inheritance. Disputes resolved according to codified principles. Patricians and plebeians gained legal protection. Society functioned within this structured framework. Justice shaped morality, politics, and daily life. Tradition became written authority guiding behavior. Laws prevented unchecked power and imbalance. Rome learned governance through codified rules. Decisions followed law, not personal whim. Accountability became central to civic trust. The 12 tables endured as cultural foundation. They strengthened Rome's identity for centuries. Codified law preserved order amidst expansion. Rules applied to all citizens equally. Legal clarity prevented chaos and unrest. Rome's legal culture influenced future generations. Rome's rise attracted envy and resistance nearby. Etruscans, Samnites, Greek colonies watched closely. Diplomacy and war intertwined across Italian lands. Every victory expanded Rome's territory and influence. Alliances shifted with each battle and negotiation. Rome fought, negotiated, and demanded loyalty consistently. Borders were contested by diplomacy and sword. Strategic planning shaped Republic's long-term future. Citizen soldiers endured harsh campaigns far from home. Political debate guided both strategy and action. Victory brought security, resources, and political leverage. Leadership was tested in war and governance alike. New territories brought complex cultural challenges. Rome balanced conquest with assimilation and administration. Expansion strengthened republic and forged civic identity. Lessons from conflict prepared city for empire. Wars taught leadership, resilience, and diplomacy. Discipline and unity became defining Roman virtues. The republic thrived through law, army, and citizens. Every conflict prepared Rome for greater destiny. Rome and Carthage stood across the sea. Two powers grew hungry for Mediterranean control. Trade, influence, and territory sparked deadly tension. Conflicts simmered for decades without resolution. Carthage controlled wealthy coastal cities and harbors. Rome defended Italian lands with growing armies. Every clash tested strategy, courage, and resolve. Rivalry shaped politics, alliances, and military planning. The First Punic War erupted over Sicily. Naval battles challenged Rome's inexperienced fleet. Carthage relied on seasoned sailors and warships. Rome adapted, learning lessons of maritime warfare. Both powers endured heavy losses and hardship. Cities were threatened, economies strained, men perished. Tension escalated, setting stage for Second War. Hatred and ambition fueled decades of hostility. Diplomacy often failed to prevent renewed conflict. Treaties were fragile, broken by mistrust and ambition. Rome and Carthage prepared for total war. Mediterranean dominance became the ultimate prize. Allies were drawn into battles on both sides. Italian, Iberian, and North African territories suffered. Every campaign tested military leadership and endurance. Carthage and Rome grew bitter enemies for generations. This rivalry shaped Rome's strategy and identity. Military innovation became essential for survival and power. Conflict forged legends and hardened citizen soldiers. Decades of war transformed Mediterranean geopolitics forever. Hannibal emerged as Carthage's brilliant commander. His army marched from Spain toward Italy. Elephants, cavalry, and infantry crossed treacherous mountains. The Alps challenged soldiers and beasts alike. Winter, snow, and harsh terrain tested endurance. Hannibal's strategy combined audacity with calculated risk. Every step brought Rome closer to panic. Surprise became his greatest weapon against the Republic. Italian allies hesitated, unsure where loyalty lay. Hannibal's victories shattered Rome's confidence and morale. Cannae became the epitome of tactical genius. Thousands fell. Rome reeled from staggering losses. Despite victories, Hannibal lacked sufficient reinforcements. Rome refused to surrender, rebuilding armies relentlessly. The campaign stretched Carthage's resources thin. Strategy mattered, but logistics determined ultimate success. Hannibal's crossing became legend for generations. Stories of elephants climbing snow-covered peaks endured. Courage, innovation, and leadership inspired all worldwide. Rome faced its darkest hours with resilience. The Alps campaign left lasting scars on Italy. Villages destroyed, trade disrupted, citizens lived in fear. Yet Rome adapted, learning to endure adversity. Hannibal's genius shaped military history forever. Rome rebuilt under young General Scipio Africanus. He invaded Carthaginian homeland to shift momentum. Strategy combined deception, timing, and disciplined formations. Rome faced Hannibal on familiar, strategic terrain. Elephants charged, cavalry maneuvered, infantry held firm. Scipio anticipated Hannibal's every tactical move. Discipline, training, and courage turned tides of war. Victory was earned through strategy and perseverance. Battle of Zama ended Carthage's military dominance. Rome's legions proved disciplined, adaptable, and relentless. Carthaginian power waned. Influence across Mediterranean shattered. Scipio's leadership became legend for centuries to come. Rome imposed heavy terms upon defeated Carthage. Ships, territory, and armies were severely restricted. Carthage remained city, but military threat neutralized. Rome emerged as Mediterranean's preeminent power. Victory cemented Rome's reputation for resilience. Strategic genius became central to military culture. Legends of Africanus inspired countless soldiers. Rome's confidence and ambition grew beyond Italy. The Third Punic War brought final confrontation. Carthage resisted, but could not survive Rome's assault. Walls fell, cities burned, survivors enslaved. Destruction was total, leaving lasting historical scar. Rome seized control of North African territories. Trade routes, fertile lands, and harbors came under Roman rule. Mediterranean dominance became Rome's defining identity. Every conquest expanded wealth and strategic advantage. Province administration integrated conquered lands and peoples. Rome established colonies, forts, and garrisons. Cultural assimilation mixed local customs with Roman law. Power spread from Italy to every coast. Carthage's fall served as warning to all rivals. Rome's authority extended across Mediterranean and beyond. Expansion created both opportunity and responsibility. The Republic now faced challenges of imperial management. New territories brought trade, wealth, and influence. Rome's economy thrived on resources, tribute, and commerce. Mediterranean trade routes flourished under Roman control. The city's ambition now reached unprecedented heights. Rome gained vast wealth from conquered lands. Slaves became essential labor in farms and households. Society changed, growing rich and increasingly unequal. Elite patricians amassed power and vast estates. Plebeians often remained poor, despite victories abroad. Cities grew crowded, farms faced decline and debt. Military campaigns brought glory, but social strain. Inequality began shaping tension within the Republic. Cultural exchange spread, but tensions simmered quietly. Conquered peoples brought religion, art, and traditions. Rome absorbed ideas, but also imposed authority. Integration came at cost of freedom for many. The Republic faced moral, economic, social challenges. Wealth concentrated, while citizenship ideals strained under pressure. Conflict and rivalry shifted from external to internal. Seeds of future civil unrest were planted. Punic Wars transformed Rome into Mediterranean superpower. Victory brought pride, influence, and historic legacy. Yet triumph carried consequences for citizens' lives. Ambition, power, and inequality shaped Republic's next era. Rome faced threats both outside and within. Powerful generals gained influence over armies and politics. Marius reformed legions, opening service to all. Citizen soldiers swore loyalty to him personally. Sulla rose as ambitious patrician general. He commanded armies with ruthless efficiency. Civil war erupted between political rivals. Rome's streets became battlegrounds of ambition. Marius marched into Rome with armed legions. Political enemies were purged or exiled violently. Power shifted from Senate to military command. Republican ideals weakened under generals' dominance. Sulla returned to Rome after years of campaigning. He seized control with unparalleled military force. Proscriptions terrorized citizens, eliminating opposition swiftly. Fear and loyalty dictated every action. Generals became rulers without royal crowns. Army loyalty often outweighed traditional civic authority. Civil institutions were threatened by personal ambition. Rome's freedom became hostage to military strength. Marius and Sulla's rivalry set dangerous precedent. Republics struggled to maintain law and order. Ambition overrode dialogue, compromise, and debate. Violence became instrument of political resolution. Legacies of reform were entwined with brutality. Military power redefined authority in Rome. Citizen allegiance shifted from state to general. The Republic teetered on the edge of collapse. Wealthy elites controlled vast agricultural estates. Small farmers struggled to maintain land and livelihood. Debt and taxes burdened ordinary Roman citizens. Economic inequality fueled resentment across the Republic. Urban centers grew crowded with displaced farmers. Jobs were scarce, poverty widespread among citizens. Patricians profited from estates worked by slaves. Land concentration undermined traditional agrarian society. Grain imports and cheap labor worsened rural struggles. Farmers lost both land and political influence. Society became divided along wealth and class. Economic tension simmered beneath Rome's political surface. Debt led some citizens into servitude or exile. Urban mobs demanded reform, threatening public order. Senate often resisted changes favoring commoners. Conflict over land destabilized republican institutions. Economic divisions created fertile ground for rebellion. Popular leaders gained support from struggling citizens. Civil unrest spread across both city and countryside. Rome faced crises from wealth imbalance and injustice. Inequality reshaped social hierarchy and political power. Rich estates financed private armies and patronage. Citizen farmers' voices grew weaker with each generation. Economic stress fed ambition and political opportunism. Reform attempts sparked violent clashes and riots. Tensions between rich and poor intensified gradually. Republic stability weakened under social and economic strain. Rome's internal conflict foreshadowed coming civil wars. Slaves endured brutal conditions across farms and mines. Harsh treatment sparked resentment and violent revolt. Spartacus, gladiator and leader, inspired rebellion. Thousands of slaves followed him across Italy's lands. Battles raged as rebel forces challenged Rome. Legions struggled to contain insurgent armies. Success brought hope to the oppressed masses. Fear gripped cities and wealthy landowners alike. Spartacus led daring raids and strategic attacks. Roman generals underestimated the slave-led armies. Rebellion spread, threatening republic's internal stability. Rome mobilized all available forces to respond. Bravery and determination defined the slave uprisings. Yet lack of unified strategy weakened their cause. Rome's military eventually crushed the rebellion. Survivors faced execution, reinforcing Roman authority. Revolts revealed cracks in social and economic structure. Elite dependence on slavery created long-term tension. Popular uprisings inspired fear of future insurrections. Republic faced moral and practical challenges simultaneously. The legacy of Spartacus endured across centuries. His courage symbolized resistance to oppression and slavery. Rome maintained dominance, but could not erase memory. Rebellion left lasting impact on politics and society. Political alliances shifted with ambition and opportunity. Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus formed secret alliance. Power concentrated outside traditional republican institutions. Republics' checks and balances weakened under triumvirate. Crassus provided wealth and political influence. Pompey commanded loyalty of seasoned legions. Caesar gained popularity among citizens and soldiers. Each man sought personal power and prestige. The alliance manipulated elections, laws, and policy. Political opponents were marginalized or eliminated quietly. Triumvirate blurred lines between public good and ambition. Republican ideals eroded as private power dominated. Caesar's campaigns in Gaul enhanced his reputation. Pompey's influence ensured temporary political stability. Crassus' death altered balance of alliance. Rivalries deepened, setting stage for civil war. Triumvirate revealed fragility of republican institutions. Ambition, loyalty, and strategy reshaped political landscape. Rome's government struggled to contain rising tension. Conflict between generals became inevitable and deadly. This period demonstrated power's shift from Senate. Citizen loyalty increasingly attached to military leaders. Public opinion influenced by spectacle and personal charisma. Republic's freedom faced unprecedented internal threat. Caesar crossed the Rubicon, defying Senate's authority. Civil war erupted between Caesar and Pompey's faction. Legions marched, cities fell under military control. Rome transformed under Caesar's absolute influence. As dictator, Caesar enacted reforms for citizens. Land distribution, debt relief, calendar reform implemented. Yet senators feared concentration of personal power. Republican traditions eroded under autocratic rule. On the Ides of March, betrayal struck silently. Brutus, Cassius, and conspirators stabbed Caesar. Senate chambers echoed with violence and shock. Rome mourned yet feared the power vacuum. Assassination failed to restore republican order fully. Civil war continued among successors and generals. Caesar's death marked a turning point in Roman history. Dictatorships' shadow lingered across the republic forever. Legacy of Caesar shaped empire to come. Military genius, political reform, and ambition intertwined. Republic's collapse gave rise to imperial dominance. Rome's freedom gave way to a new order. Conflict, ambition, and reform defined this era. Internal strife foreshadowed centuries of civil unrest. Citizens, soldiers, and senators all played roles. History remembered Caesar as both hero and tyrant. Octavian, Caesar's heir, claimed Rome's destiny. Civil war followed Caesar's assassination and chaos. Mark Antony allied with Cleopatra in Egypt. Rome faced a clash of ambition and loyalty. Naval battles decided the future of empire. Actium became the stage for historic confrontation. Octavian's forces triumphed through strategy and discipline. Antony and Cleopatra fled, their alliance collapsing. Egypt fell under Roman control, wealth seized. Octavian emerged as unrivaled ruler of Rome. Victory marked end of Republic's final struggle. Rome's destiny shifted from citizen rule to empire. Political propaganda strengthened Octavian's authority subtly. Public celebrated him as restorer of peace. Senate granted him titles consolidating his power. His triumph was both military and political. Rival factions were subdued. Stability slowly returned. Octavian balanced fear, respect, and loyalty carefully. Former enemies were pardoned or integrated strategically. Rome's institutions endured. Now under singular guidance, history remembers Octavian as master of politics. Military prowess, cunning, and patience defined his reign. Victory at Actium became legend for centuries. Empire's foundation built on both war and diplomacy. Octavian took the title Augustus officially in Rome. Senate granted him supreme authority, avoiding kingly name. He held military, religious, and political power securely. The Republic's institutions persisted superficially under his guidance. Augustus' reforms stabilized governance across the empire. Provinces were organized efficiently under central oversight. Senators served, but ultimate power lay with him. Rome's transition from republic to empire was subtle. Citizens enjoyed peace, prosperity, and security under Augustus. Military ensured loyalty, preventing uprisings or civil unrest. Augustus promoted moral and social reforms among populace. Religion and culture reinforced imperial ideology and legitimacy. Diplomacy and conquest expanded Rome's borders carefully. Client kings managed distant territories under Rome's watch. Frontiers became secure, Trade flourished across regions. Empire grew without constant civil strife or rebellion. Augustus' reign became symbol of order and longevity. Leadership blended tradition with innovation and authority. Rome entered its golden age under his rule. Legacy endured far beyond his lifetime in history. Political acumen ensured successors could continue stability. Military, administration, and culture became tools of power. Augustus mastered balance between fear, loyalty, and respect. Empire thrived under guidance of strategic governance. Pax Romana brought to centuries of relative peace. Trade, culture, and communication spread across Mediterranean lands. Rome's cities flourished while provinces enjoyed security. Travel, commerce, and infrastructure thrived under imperial rule. Military presence deterred rebellion and external invasion. Law and administration maintained order in every region. Citizens benefited from predictable taxation and governance. Stability allowed arts, literature, and philosophy to flourish. Wealth circulated, markets expanded, and agriculture prospered. Roads and harbors linked cities and communities efficiently. Rome's currency became standard across the empire. Economic growth reinforced imperial authority and citizen contentment. Cultural exchange spread religion, language, and traditions widely. Art, architecture, and literature reflected Rome's grandeur. Schools, libraries, and theaters became hubs of learning. Public works served both utility and aesthetic pride. Pax Romana allowed population growth and urban expansion. City planning improved sanitation, housing, and security. Citizens enjoyed entertainment, festivals, and civic engagement. Empire's heartbeat pulsed through every province consistently. Peace nurtured loyalty, reducing civil unrest significantly. Provinces felt both Roman identity and local pride. Empire became interconnected, strong, and culturally diverse. Golden Age reflected leadership, prosperity, and stability combined. Augustus commissioned monuments celebrating Rome's greatness. Temples honored gods and reinforced imperial ideology. Forums became centers for commerce, politics, and culture. Rome's skyline reflected both ambition and divine favor. Roads stretched across empire, connecting distant provinces. Military, trade, and communication thrived on these routes. Travel became faster, governance more efficient, cities linked. Infrastructure demonstrated both practicality and imperial grandeur. Aqueducts brought water to cities and public baths. Engineering marvels combined utility, durability, and beauty. Bridges, harbors, and arenas showcased Roman ingenuity. Architecture symbolized permanence, power, and technological mastery. Public buildings inspired awe, pride, and civic unity. Artistic decorations celebrated military victories and emperors. Civic spaces encouraged debate, commerce, and community. Rome's urban landscape embodied empire's strength and vision. Engineering achievements impressed citizens and conquered peoples alike. Every structure reinforced Rome's image as eternal city. Architecture served both function and political propaganda. Legacy of construction endured for centuries thereafter. Rome stood at center of political and cultural life. Provinces sent tributes, soldiers, and resources continually. Citizens and foreigners alike recognized empire's power. City pulsed with markets, temples, forums, and entertainment. Imperial administration managed lands from Britain to Egypt. Governors, armies, and bureaucrats ensured obedience and order. Trade, taxation, and law unified diverse territories. Rome's influence reached far beyond Italian peninsula. Religion, language, and culture reinforced imperial identity. Local customs often integrated with Roman practices strategically. Citizenship was prized, symbolizing loyalty to emperor. Rome became model of urban and political organization. Population swelled, streets crowded, and markets flourished. Entertainment, education, and arts reflected imperial sophistication. Empire projected both power and cultural leadership globally. Rome truly became the heart of civilization. Augustus' legacy created foundation for centuries ahead. Peace, prosperity, and power defined early empire. Rome's influence shaped politics, culture, and law widely. Golden Age symbolized enduring glory and ambition combined. Rome flourished under wise and capable rulers. Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus, and Marcus Aurelius. Peace, prosperity, and strong governance marked their reigns. Citizens felt security, justice, and opportunity everywhere. Policies promoted fair taxation and provincial stability. Public works improved roads, aqueducts, and buildings. Military loyalty ensured defense without rebellion or fear. Rome reached new heights in law and culture. Succession was chosen based on ability, not blood. Merit, not inheritance, guided selection of emperors. Competence became central to Rome's golden leadership. Republican institutions endured under their careful oversight. Legions expanded frontiers while securing existing provinces. Governors administered lands efficiently under emperor guidance. Rome's administration balanced central control with local autonomy. Empire thrived under capable leadership and strong policies. Trade, culture, and cities flourished across vast empire. Rome became model of stability for generations. Citizens and provinces recognized fairness, wisdom, and order. Golden Age of governance defined Rome's international stature. Legacy of good emperors endured long after death. Empire's strength lay in planning, prudence, and vision. Peace, prosperity, and justice symbolized peak imperial power. Rome reached apex of civilization under their rule. Roman legions marched to distant lands relentlessly. Britain, North Africa, and Middle East fell under control. Military campaigns secured resources, trade, and borders. Empire stretched from Atlantic coast to Euphrates River. Roads and forts connected provinces across vast distances. Local rulers were integrated or subdued strategically. Trade, taxes, and culture spread with imperial influence. Rome's presence shaped economy, society, and politics widely. Britain brought soldiers, minerals, and agricultural wealth. North Africa supplied grain and valuable resources steadily. Middle East offered trade routes and exotic goods. Empire thrived on conquest, integration, and infrastructure. Legions faced resistance, but overcame it with discipline. Military discipline, strategy, and logistics ensured success. Conquered lands gradually adopted Roman laws and customs. Expansion strengthened both Rome's economy and cultural reach. Provinces contributed soldiers, taxes, and allegiance to Rome. Cultural exchange flourished alongside Roman administration's authority. Empire's borders defined by both ambition and necessity. Rome's global influence became unmatched in the ancient world. City streets bustled with merchants, citizens, and slaves. Baths offered hygiene, socializing, and relaxation daily. Amphitheaters hosted gladiators, drama, and public spectacle. Entertainment reflected both leisure and imperial propaganda subtly. Markets sold food, textiles, and exotic goods. Wealthy citizens displayed opulence, while poor struggled. Daily routines blended work, worship, and community life. Religion, family, and social rituals shaped identity firmly. Gladiators fought for honor, fame, and survival. Crowds cheered, senators watched, emperors observed carefully. Public games reinforced power, loyalty, and spectacle. Violence mingled with entertainment, teaching obedience subtly. Education, philosophy, and arts thrived among elite. Libraries, schools, and forums nurtured intellectual development. Citizens debated politics and culture in public spaces. Knowledge and entertainment reflected Rome's sophisticated society deeply. Urban life relied on water, food, and labor. Slaves maintained households, farms, and public infrastructure. Daily existence balanced comfort, duty, and survival. Rome's population navigated wealth, hierarchy, and opportunity constantly. Rome's economy relied on vast trade networks continuously. Goods flowed from Europe, Africa, and Asia. Grain, olive oil, wine, and spices crossed borders. Merchants, ships, and roads maintained imperial commerce efficiently. Mediterranean Sea became highway of commerce and culture. Ports and harbors thrived with trade activity daily. Rome imported wealth, exported goods, and exchanged ideas. Economic interconnection strengthened empire's power and stability. Silk, incense, and exotic treasures reached imperial markets. Wealth circulated, benefiting merchants, elites, and cities. Provinces specialized in local production for empire-wide trade. Rome's prosperity depended on logistics, protection, and efficiency. Trade also brought cultural exchange and diplomacy steadily. Rome's influence spread beyond political control alone. Economic networks reinforced social, political, and military ties. Empire became a hub connecting continents and peoples. Ships braved seas, caravans crossed deserts relentlessly. Rome's trade infrastructure reflected organization and imperial oversight. Wealth flowed freely under Pax Romana's protection. Empire's prosperity reflected commerce, security, and administration combined. Not all emperors governed with wisdom and care. Nero's reign displayed excess, cruelty, and instability. Power often led to paranoia, violence, and terror. Senators, citizens, and soldiers navigated treacherous court politics. Palace conspiracies, executions, and betrayals became common. Public trust eroded under reckless or cruel rulers. Rome's image abroad suffered from tyranny's shadow. Fear dictated loyalty more than respect or law. Extravagance, mismanagement, and persecution marked Nero's reign. Fires, revolts, and financial strain weakened imperial control. Citizen unrest and military discontent simmered quietly. Empire stability relied heavily on competent leadership. Bad emperors contrasted sharply with prior good rulers. Legacy of incompetence served as warning to successors. Power remained concentrated yet fragile, dependent on loyalty. Rome's greatness persisted despite individual misrule occasionally. Political intrigue remained constant, shaping empire internally. Senate, generals, and populace all influenced outcomes. Civil unrest, conspiracies, and rebellion punctuated imperial history. Rome's complexity grew alongside power, wealth, and ambition. Rome faced turmoil. Emperors rose rapidly. Violence and ambition dictated political succession violently. Military leaders claimed throne through force alone. Senate influence weakened under constant instability and fear. Every year brought new rulers and purges. Citizens grew wary of promises and power. Legions fought for generals, not the republic. Civil wars drained resources and morale continually. Assassinations and betrayal became daily occurrence. Governance suffered under constant leadership upheaval. Empire teetered on edge of collapse repeatedly. Political chaos eroded centuries of stability gradually. Economic strain worsened under constant civil unrest. Military loyalty outweighed civic responsibility and law. Rome's institutions struggled to maintain order effectively. Leadership became a dangerous game of survival. Population and provinces felt uncertainty and insecurity. Fear permeated city streets and countryside alike. Empire required reform to survive ongoing crisis. Rome's strength diminished despite its ancient resilience. Constant change highlighted fragility of imperial system. Legitimacy depended on force, not consent or law. Crisis reshaped power, loyalty, and imperial authority. Rome's golden era slowly gave way to instability. Germanic tribes pressed against northern frontiers relentlessly. Huns, Goths, and Vandals threatened Roman territories consistently. Borders became contested, defended by exhausted legions. Rome's empire expanded too far for effective control. Invasions disrupted trade, agriculture, and urban life. Cities faced sieges, plunder, and population decline. Frontiers became militarized zones of tension and conflict. Rome struggled to maintain authority across distant lands. Alliances with local rulers offered temporary protection. Barbarians were sometimes integrated, sometimes expelled harshly. Cultural and military challenges tested Roman resilience daily. Empire's boundaries constantly shifted under relentless pressure. Military campaigns drained treasury, manpower, and morale. Citizens and soldiers alike endured hardship and fear. Rome's reputation faltered as threats grew persistent. Crisis forced adaptation in strategy, defense, and diplomacy. Invasions highlighted vulnerability despite centuries of power. Walls, forts, and armies provided fragile security. Rome faced constant tension between diplomacy and war. Pressure mounted on leaders to protect empire effectively. Currency devaluation caused prices to rise sharply. Inflation burdened citizens, merchants, and provincial economies alike. Trade declined as uncertainty disrupted markets completely. Rome's wealth dwindled under economic mismanagement and strain. Plagues ravaged population, reducing labor and morale. Cities emptied, farms failed, and markets struggled. Population decline weakened army recruitment and tax revenue. Public services deteriorated under mounting financial pressure. Infrastructure decayed, roads and aqueducts fell into disrepair. Urban life suffered from sanitation and resource shortages. Social unrest grew amidst economic hardship and famine. Rome's resilience was tested like never before. Economic stress fueled political instability and rebellion. Emperors struggled to maintain order and revenue simultaneously. Inflation, plague, and mismanagement undermined imperial strength. The Republic's legacy could not save the empire. Trade networks faltered, reducing resources and luxury goods. Local economies became self-reliant under chaotic conditions. Cities once proud declined in power and influence. Rome's internal decay mirrored pressures from external enemies. Diocletian rose to restore order and stability. He reorganized administration, creating smaller, manageable provinces. Empire divided into eastern and western regions formally. Co-emperors shared power to defend vast borders efficiently. Taxation and economic reforms attempted to stabilize economy. Price controls sought to reduce inflation and scarcity. Military reforms strengthened frontier defense and command structures. Bureaucracy expanded, making governance more complex yet organized. Diocletian's reforms slowed decline, but did not halt it. Empire remained vulnerable to internal and external pressures. Division created Eastern and Western distinct identities gradually. Power was centralized yet regionally coordinated under tetrarchy. Citizens experienced stability under reformed administration temporarily. Provinces gained clarity on law, taxation, and protection. Military loyalty reinforced through structured command and reward. Empire adapted to challenges of size and complexity strategically. Division laid foundation for Eastern Empire's survival. Western Empire weakened under ongoing pressures and invasions. Diocletian's legacy endured as reformer and administrator. His reign slowed collapse, but decline continued inexorably. Christianity spread amidst persecution and social upheaval. Faith offered hope, community, and moral guidance broadly. Empire faced ideological shift, challenging traditional Roman religion. Emperors grappled with maintaining unity under new beliefs. Constant tension arose between pagan traditions and Christianity. Martyrs inspired devotion, drawing followers across provinces. Rome's identity transformed from civic cults to spiritual faith. Christianity offered stability amidst societal chaos and fear. Constantine embraced Christianity, granting toleration and support. Church gained influence in political, social, and cultural spheres. Roman identity blended civic duty with spiritual allegiance gradually. Empire's moral and cultural framework shifted fundamentally forever. Religious transformation reshaped laws, rituals, and public life. Christianity influenced succession, politics, and imperial policy. Rome's spiritual landscape altered even as political decline progressed. Faith became both unifying force and instrument of governance. Cultural memory of Rome endured, despite military losses. Christianity preserved moral and civic structures in new form. Empire evolved into medieval and religiously defined society. Rome's decline marked transition, not total disappearance entirely. Constantine rose amidst empire's turmoil and crisis. He sought stability and security across Roman lands. New capital established strategically on Bosporus Strait. Constantinople became beacon of power, trade, and defense. City walls protected against invaders from land and sea. Strategic location bridged Europe and Asia effectively. Economic prosperity flowed from trade and taxation efficiently. Culture, politics, and religion centered around imperial city. Constantine embraced Christianity, blending faith with politics wisely. Church gained influence, guiding citizens and shaping laws. Capital symbolized Rome's enduring authority and transformation. Western decline contrasted with Eastern resilience gradually. Imperial bureaucracy strengthened under Constantine's structured reforms. Soldiers garrisoned strategically, defending city and borders. Constantinople reflected vision, ambition, and pragmatic leadership. Foundation laid for Byzantine Empire's future longevity and glory. City became a hub for culture, law, and commerce. Scholars, merchants, and officials flocked from across empire. Eastern Empire flourished even as West weakened visibly. Constantinople preserved Rome's legacy for centuries ahead. Christianity gained prominence under imperial protection gradually. Faith spread through cities, towns, and provinces widely. Church leaders guided moral, social, and political matters. Rome's spiritual landscape transformed as paganism declined steadily. Synods, councils, and bishops shaped doctrine and practice. Faith unified diverse populations across empire's vast expanse. Christianity offered hope amidst economic, social, and military crises. Religion became instrument of cohesion, identity, and authority. Imperial support strengthened church structures and influence deliberately. Education, charity, and administration spread Christian values systematically. Monasteries, cathedrals, and basilicas became central institutions. Faith intertwined with governance, law, and imperial policy. Conflict persisted between traditional pagan rituals and Christianity. Gradual integration reshaped festivals, morals, and civic life. Church preserved knowledge, culture, and stability amidst chaos. Roman identity evolved alongside Christian moral framework fundamentally. Christianity's spread impacted succession, diplomacy deeply. Empire's moral foundation shifted from civic to spiritual authority. Eastern and Western regions felt religion's stabilizing presence differently. Legacy of faith endured long beyond political collapse permanently. Barbarian pressure intensified across Rome's weakened frontiers. Huns, Goths, Vandals, and Franks challenged imperial boundaries relentlessly. Legions were overstretched, defense increasingly inadequate and fragile. Rome faced external threats from north and east simultaneously. Attila the Hun struck terror across provinces swiftly. Cities fortified, citizens prayed, armies marched defensively. Germanic tribes migrated, displacing populations and seizing lands. Rome's borders shifted under relentless, unstoppable pressure continuously. Military power struggled to match speed of invasions. Emperors negotiated, bribed, or fought with mixed results. Civil unrest weakened internal cohesion and strategic planning. Rome's defenses collapsed despite centuries of experience and skill. Economic disruption accompanied migrations and attacks profoundly. Trade, agriculture, and taxation suffered across western provinces. Population displacement, famine, and fear destabilized civic life. Empire strength eroded from within as attacks continued. Attila and migrating tribes symbolized unstoppable forces of history. Rome's power diminished. Reputation waned across Mediterranean and Europe. Western Empire's decline became inevitable under relentless assaults. Eastern Empire adapted, but West faced impending collapse fully. Visigoths under Alaric entered Rome in 410. Plunder, destruction, and fear struck the ancient city. Citizens fled or were enslaved amidst chaos. Symbolic heart of empire was shaken profoundly. Rome struggled to defend territories against persistent invaders. Vandal sack in 455 further devastated western provinces. Wealth, art, and cultural treasures were looted and burned. Empire's political and military authority eroded drastically. Provinces declared independence or fell under foreign control. Centralized administration could not enforce order or collect taxes. Western territories became fragmented and vulnerable to further attacks. Rome's prestige suffered, morale and confidence declined rapidly. Sack of Rome shocked citizens and world alike. Once mighty city now exposed its fragility and vulnerability. Psychological impact outweighed material loss significantly. Legacy of eternal city tarnished, yet not forgotten entirely. Repeated invasions underscored decline of Western Empire's influence. Military, economic, and political structures could not recover. Empire shrank, power concentrated in fewer regions gradually. Collapse became inevitable under mounting internal and external pressure. Romulus Augustus deposed. Last Western emperor surrendered. Germanic chieftain Odoacer assumed power in Italy. Centuries of Roman rule officially came to end. Western Empire ceased to exist politically and administratively. Eastern Empire continued as Byzantine power and legacy. Rome's institutions persisted symbolically, culturally, and legally. Western lands fragmented into kingdoms ruled by barbarian kings. Roman law, infrastructure, and culture influenced future Europe significantly. Full reflected decades of decline, corruption, and pressure. Economic collapse, invasions, and weak leadership contributed greatly. Military overreach and social instability sealed empire's fate. History recorded end of Western Roman dominance permanently. Legacy endured through Christianity, architecture, and legal systems. Latin language, culture, and Roman ideas shaped Europe. Rome's story inspired governments, law, and civilization globally. Though empire fell, its shadow shaped centuries profoundly. Fall of Western Empire marked transition, not disappearance. Eastern Empire preserved traditions, power, and knowledge carefully. Rome's influence echoed in medieval and modern world alike. End of an age, beginning of new historical chapter. Rome fell, yet its spirit never died. Eastern Empire thrived for centuries more. Byzantium preserved culture, law, and power. Constantinople became beacon, heart of civilization. Christianity spread, shaping morals and identity. Faith offered hope amidst turmoil and chaos. Church guided citizens, emperors, and nations alike. Spiritual life intertwined with politics and governance. Roman law endured, guiding Europe's future endlessly. Justice, property, and rights built on precedent. Courts echoed centuries of wisdom and fairness. Republican ideals influenced governments far and wide. Architecture, roads, aqueducts, bridges, and temples spoke of ambition, ingenuity, and human vision. Urban planning shaped cities across continents permanently. Engineering marvels inspired builders for countless generations. Language, literature, and culture flowed through ages. Latin evolved, shaping modern tongues profoundly today. Philosophy, rhetoric, and epic tales inspired thinkers. Roman education, art, and civic life endured globally. Renaissance revival brought Roman brilliance alive again. Artists, scholars, and architects drew from Rome. Modern law, politics, and society echo ancient ideas. Empire's influence spreads across continents and generations. Rome teaches lessons of ambition, courage, and balance. Civilization grows because we remember past triumphs. History warns, inspires, and guides human endeavor. Greatness requires wisdom, responsibility, and vision together. Now, explore, learn, and let Rome inspire. Witness the past to understand today fully. Carry forward lessons of law, culture, and governance. Let history shape your journey and future choices. Subscribe. Explore more stories of ancient empires. Dive into history and see its modern impact. Learn, reflect, and let Rome guide your mind. Discover the past and shape your tomorrow today.